Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. My name is Cinderellimouse and today we have early access to the Sims 4 Businesses and Hobbies expansion pack, courtesy of the EA Creator Network. Now just to let you know, this is not final software, so this is not going to be the release version. There may be still a few things that they're kind of working out. And what I wanted to do today was really have a look at the tattooing system. Now the tattooing skill is a new skill that comes with this expansion pack, and I wanted to jump into CAS and kind of look at the possibilities here. Okay, so you're making a sim in CAS, maybe you want to put a tattoo on them. All you do is, it's very similar to how it was before. You click on them, you go to body, you go to tattoos, and this is where you're going to find all the tattoos like you did before. The layout and the UI is slightly different, and there are a few new extra features that you're going to be able to do. So say I wanted to give her a tattoo on her lower back, I would just go to lower back here. You can see you've got arms, legs, torso, face even, and then you can pick from the designs that are available. Now I only have the base game and the Businesses and Hobbies expansion pack installed, so if you have more packs installed, more tattoos should show up in this section. And then you can see here as well we have these sliders for the new tattoos, which I absolutely love. This is something I kind of wanted for tattoos for a while. It's similar to the makeup sliders. So say for example I have this tattoo, but I think, oh, that's a little bit too pronounced. I can just go in and kind of make it a little bit more transparent. I can make it look a bit older, a bit more worn. You can also go in and kind of like change the color if you want to with this slider here. You also have like saturation to make the color more vibrant and brightness to make it lighter or darker. So you can really play around with getting the exact design you want. This looks a bit more like a henna tattoo now, for example. And then you can actually go even further. Oh, also, if you really like that, say you're like, that is perfect, that's the exact color that I want for this tattoo, I know I'm going to want to use this on more Sims, you can also save it, and it comes up with a custom color here as well that you're going to be able to use on more Sims. So very, very cool features there already. If you want to remove the tattoo, you just go ahead and click there. Very similar to what we did before, but with a few extra options. I really, really like it. What I want to do today though is show you a few more possibilities that we can do with these options. Now if I go to her stomach, for example, and we go to, well, we have some skim details already. For example, we have like birthmarks, and I can never remember the word for it. This I'll put the word on screen. I can never remember the word. Stretch marks and things like this. But say you wanted like a specific scar or a specific stretch mark, and you're like, oh, I don't have this in the game. For example, here's like a surgery scar. Say for example you'd had your appendix removed, right? And maybe the scar's in a different place. You can now go in, and rather than a tattoo, you can go into paint mode and you can draw directly on the Sim's body. So of course this is designed to allow you to tattoo Sims. You can click on these stencils here and kind of use like a pre-made design. That's really cute, for example. You can also go with these bigger stencils, which mean that you can do these big designs all over the body, or you can go with the brushes and kind of manually go in and draw what you want to draw. Now this is what I'm interested in right now, because as well as tattoos, we can do things like scars on the body. So say for example, I want to have a scar that's kind of maybe like a bit of a reddy brown color. I'm going to go ahead here and click this brownie color. And again, you have like hues, well, you have a color wheel, which is exciting. And you also have like opacity here. So I like to use, rather than it being very, very thick, I prefer to make it more opaque, and then kind of layer up and gradually build the color. And you can make it lighter and darker as well if you want to kind of like match the skin tone or something like that. So this is probably about perfect here. I also want to make the brush a little bit smaller, which you can do here. You can also rotate the brush as well if you're using like a stencil or something like that. I don't really need to do that because it's kind of just a round circular shape. I'm going to go for about 3, I think, and then I can just go on and draw directly on the body roughly where I'm going to want that scar, which I think is really, really cool. And you can just kind of build up the color there. Maybe I want it to look a little bit more reddish. I could go ahead and kind of make a more reddy brown color. Like, let me just grab this here. And yeah, if you want to kind of like really kind of fine tune that, you can do. So yeah, you can also erase it if you think, oh no, I've gone a bit too wild there, that's a bit too dark. You can kind of erase it, or kind of like really get the edges perfect there. And there you go. I have a custom surgery scar on Cinderella. Now, I don't actually want the surgery scar. The aim of this video today is that I want to make my own makeup in the game. So if I go back out here and I go to face, you can see that the game has removed all her makeup for me so that I can see her face clearly and kind of tattoo her face. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go actually and tie her hair up to get it out of the way. Here we go. So if I want to, we do have this layer feature. Now this is a little bit buggy for me at the moment. I use layers when I'm when I'm making thumbnails and things like that. So I'm used to using layers. I don't know if I'm misunderstanding the feature or if it's not working quite as well as I would have liked it to. So I think maybe that is a bit buggy. Hopefully the Sims team are working that out. But letting you know that that's a potential feature that might work in the future. I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to go and jump into paint mode. And my plan for today is to make custom makeup. Now, tattooing makeup onto the skin is something that is offered in the beauty industry. For example, you can get something called lip blush, which is like roughly something that lasts around 3 months, I believe. And it's kind of like you can get your lip liner tattooed on. So this is not a out of the box idea. It is something that's offered in the beauty industry. You can also get like your eyebrows tattooed on and things like that. Now I have not got any tattoos. I don't think I'm ever going to have any kind of tattoo, whether it's temporary makeup or anything like that, other than those ones that you kind of stick on with water. I don't like the idea of like needles or anything too permanent like that. So this isn't a beauty regime that I would personally do, but I wanted to use the tattoo feature to create custom makeup and basically do my makeup routine on my sim. So I'm not going to put any foundation on her or concealer. She doesn't need it. Sim's skin is already very smooth. But what I would normally do is I would start out by doing like full I wouldn't put a plum bob on my face, but maybe I would start out by doing like a full face of the colour. I would start out by doing let's go to like pale white. There we go. That's more me. The ghostly white foundation that I use. I genuinely use the lightest shade of foundation that the shop has. It's like 0N, zero neutral is the colour that I go for. But yeah, I start out by putting foundation all over my face, and I use foundation as concealer, and I kind of like cover my eye bags. So imagine that I've done that on this sim. What I then do is I go onto my kind of like sculpting, and so I'm gonna need something. Can I use the eyedropper tool on my actual skin? I can. That is very cool. Just to let you know as well, if you really want to fine tune the colour, you can click on this color slide here and you can actually change the hue and saturation and the brightness, and even put in like a specific color code if you'd prefer to do it by numbers. If that's easier for you, that is something that's an option there. So I've gone for that. I actually want it to be a tiny bit darker than my actual skin color. Here we go. And a little bit more transparent, because again, I'm going to look to build up the color. I would say it's also my foundation, my blush is slightly more brown. So that is probably roughly like how it is. And I'm going to go for really pale, because again, I'm a very pale person, so I tend to put not very much product on my brush, and then I build it up and really, really blend it in. So I come in underneath my cheekbone. So I don't put it on my cheekbone like this. I go under my cheekbone, and that gives you like really, really, really kind of like cool cheekbones. So yeah, I'm going to go something about there. So just slightly under the cheekbone is where I would put that, and then I kind of like blend it out at the edges. Like, don't worry guys, we will blend it in more. So something like that is kind of what I do. And then I need to copy it on the other side as well. We don't have the mirror tool, I don't think. Show hide painting mask. Yeah, so if you look at like werewolves and things, there's like a symmetry tool, like a mirror tool, but apparently we don't have that for this. So I'm gonna have to try and kind of get it roughly even on both sides of my face. So something like that. Oh my goodness, that is definitely not even, is it? Okay, I might go in with the eraser and really, really kind of make it very, very saturated, and just kind of blend around the edges there to make it a little bit more blended looking. just to kind of like take the edge off. I don't know, something like that. I think if you're very artistic, I don't have very good art skills. Like, I am not an artistic person. I think you could go in and kind of like really spend some time doing this and really kind of like hone your skills and get very, very good at doing kind of custom makeup or tattoos on Sims. But this is what I have to offer so far. But you get the idea. I think you guys are going to be able to do it better than me. Okay, and then I'm going to go in and I'm going to take this paint tool, make it really small. And again, I want it really very, very, very opaque. And then what I do is I draw down the side of my face because I do have a slight bump in my nose. And so I tend to kind of like define my nose like this. I am on brushes, right? No, paintbrush, there we go. I'm still on the eraser. So yeah, I go in and I just paint a line down the side of my nose like this to really give my nose a little bit of definition, because my nose is slightly bulbous and I do have a bump in it. So this just makes it look a little bit thinner. And then I kind of colour in the sides a little bit like this. And then the underside of my nose like this, and it just makes it look a tiny bit less bulbous. And then I go in on this little bump here and I give myself like a little button nose. So yeah, when you see me on camera, just know that it's all shading and magic, and it looks ridiculous in real life as well. If you see me in daylight, I look like a clown, but for some reason on camera it looks kind of good. So that's what I do. And then I go in underneath my lip. I wish I could zoom in further. I go in under my lip, and you can see how the lip has a natural shadow here. So I go in here and I colour in underneath my lip with my kind of like shading, and I give myself what gives the impression of me having fuller lips than I actually have. So yeah, it's all camera trickery, guys. It's all light and shadow. I actually look like a hag. I look like Auntie Ethel from Baldur's Gate in real life. Okay, so the next thing I do, actually, do you know what? Yeah, no, we'll go for the next thing I do. So then I have a highlighter. So I'm going to go really light. Actually, let me use the eyedropper tool and we'll go for like a really light colour on my face, and then we'll make it slightly lighter. And then this is like my highlighter. So I'm going to put the brush size up a little bit, and then I go in and I have like highlighter here. You can barely see it actually. But yeah, I go on the top of my cheekbone with my highlighter and down onto my cheeks. And again, this just makes my I do have good cheekbones, to be fair, but this just makes my cheekbones highlighted, because they do say highlight your best features, right? And then I might just make it ever so slightly less transparent. And then I go on my nose like this. And then I go down the middle of my nose like this. Oh, get out of the way, my name. Which you can't see super well here, but that's what I do. And then I kind of go in and I highlight my lips here at the top. So shading below and then highlighter on the top. And I actually want to, you can change the shape of a Sim's lips here. So if I feel like it's barely noticeable actually what I'm doing here. There we go. That's a little bit lighter, isn't it? That's a bit more obvious. Okay, so if I make the brush size smaller and I make it less obvious, there we go. Now it's actually doing something. So yeah, and then I go in and kind of like sculpt at the side of my face like this. I look like I've been drinking milk. That's maybe a bit too obvious. And then I go like this. It'll all work out in the end, guys. You'll see. It'll all come together. There we go. And now I can do like the highlighter on the top of my cheekbones. That's a bit too much. There we go. No, more transparent, more transparent. As transparent as we can go. There we go. Like my skin, absolutely like Casper the Friendly Ghost, transparent. There we are. And then if I make it really small, then I can do like that, the shine on my nose and the shine down the center of my nose like that. There we go, beautiful. I also go in and I have a little bit of shine in the corner of my eyes here. A little bit lighter, that's too much. There we go. God, they should have never ever given me these tools. There's too much power comes too much responsibility. What am I even doing here? Okay, I'm gonna get the eraser as well and just kind of like take some of that off. What you can do as well Again, because if you're doing makeup, you're blending, right? So you can go in and you can get the colour with the eyedropper tool and get that colour again. And we can go back over and you can basically keep on blending and layering up until it looks a little bit more natural and a little bit less pronounced. There we go. Let's blend on that side as well. I don't know. I had a vision. I don't know if I'm achieving my vision very well. Okay, and then let me just do the side of my nose a little bit more. There we go. I like the nose. I think the nose is looking quite good, especially if I go in and I just redo my little kind of button nose there as well. That is quite similar to how I do my nose. Okay, another thing that I do as well is I go to the corners of my mouth and I kind of pull out here. And again, my mouth kind of droops at the sides. So this makes me look a tiny bit more smiley. So I'm just going to go in and kind of pull out the corners of my mouth there as well. I also think you could probably do things like dimples as well. If you want to kind of go in and give yourself dimples, that could also be a possibility. But that's not something that I'm doing today. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is if I get kind of a brownie colour. Is there a brownie colour on my face currently? Maybe something like this colour right here. That didn't really work. Okay, I do want something that's close to my skin colour but a little bit more brown. So if I kind of go here, it's not moving. Maybe that's too saturated. I don't know, maybe if I go over here. So a little bit more saturated, a little bit darker. There we go. That's kind of a brownie colour, isn't it? Okay, so again, I want it to be really transparent and I want to be using a very small brush, and I like this one that's kind of a bit blurred at the edges. And then I'm going to go in and do my eye makeup. So what I do, well, the first thing I do actually is I get white and I draw on the inside of my eyes, and this makes my eyes look a little bit bigger. So I'm going to go in with like an eyeliner on the inside of my eyes like this. And then I'm going to do it on the other side. This is going to be hard. It's going to be really messy because it's hard to do like both sides at the same time and get them equal. I'm bad at symmetry with my makeup in the first place. So I feel like this could go horribly wrong. Okay, let's try again. I want to lower the saturation a bit, change the hue a tiny bit. And maybe make it a tiny bit brighter. And I'm going to go with very, very, very opaque. And I'm scared. And then what I do is I go up from the corner of my eye and I do like a point. So I continue this line of my eye up and out, and I also go in underneath my eye line and kind of use a bit of brown underneath. So not taking away the white, but almost looking like I've got eye bags, which is funny because I spend a lot of time trying to remove my eye bags and then I'm like drawing them back on myself. But again, I'm going up and out. It just makes a bit of a smoky eye, basically. Up and out like that. And so when I've got this corner kind of, maybe half a centimetre away from my eye, I come back in and I follow just above this indentation. So you see where my eye kind of like has this hood. Now I'm getting a little bit older, so I'm getting a little bit like of a sag here. My eyes are getting a little bit baggy. So if you go over the top of the crease, so not where the crease is, but above it, that actually helps to create the illusion of still having the crease, even when you shut your eye and it goes a bit baggy. So again, I'm going to go in and kind of like get that over the top of the hood of my eye like this, and it's a really light shade as well, so I'm not looking for like a dark brown here. I'm looking for something that's kind of a few shades darker than my actual skin color to create that hooded effect. Hooded but not baggy. And this is going to take a lot of layering. So again, I wish the layer system was working a little bit better. It's going to be messy as I'm doing it, but again, we're going to build up the layers, we're going to blend, and it's going to look better and better and better. So I'm going to go in with a darker shade now. So this is more of a kind of coffee colored shade that I use. And again, I do the same thing. I go up from the edge of my eye and out. And we're really creating this kind of wing shape. But here I go more into the crease. So like ever so slightly below the crease. And we're just really creating that kind of like shadowed effect there. Again, kind of winging it out a little bit. And then I start to bring it in as well. So I start to have almost like a V shape at the side of my eye with this kind of like darker coffee color like this. It looks so messy. So again, we go from the edge up and out. And then we're going to go in along the bottom side of that crease. And then into kind of a V shape at the edge. So this is my beauty routine. This is what I do for about 40 minutes before I go on camera. And again, it looks great on camera and it looks kind of too much in real life. So I'm really outing myself now. And then I go in with kind of a really nice kind of like a rosy skin color, like a skin color but more rosy is how I would describe this color. Maybe something like this. Again, I'm going to go with really opaque. I'm going to just up the brush size a tiny bit here, maybe to about 3, and then this is the color that I'm going to use across my eyelids. Okay, so into the corners here. And you can really see now it's starting to look more like eyeshadow. And again, this is the tattoo system allowing me to do custom makeup. So this is going right across my eye like this. And again on this side with this kind of pinky colour. And now this is a shade darker than I would actually like, but we're going to go over it with a lighter shade as well. Again, I use quite a lot of eyeshadow to kind of get the effect that I'm going for in real life. There we go. And so now I'm going to go really light with this. And we're going to do a little bit here on the top of the eye. And again, that just kind of makes the eye have more of a kind of 3D effect. This is normally a bit of a glitter that I use here in the center of my eye. And then I'm also going to go on the inside of the eye here. So this should be looking a little bit lighter than it actually is. I'm going to go for like a white and kind of like come back in here to kind of lighten up the inside corner of my eye here. There we go. That's probably looking about right. And then I'm going to pick up this brown again. And we're going to go back over and really keep blending around the edges here, because you can see where some of the pink has kind of worn off a little bit. Again, I'd really like to use the layer system for this, but I don't think it's currently working in this version of the game. Again, I've got early access, so this is not the release version that I'm using here. You know, they're basically still working on it. So hopefully that layer system will be working a little bit better and we'll have a bit more freedom to use that. So that is kind of how I do my eyes. I would say that that is a bit saturated, that pink colour. I don't normally have such a vibrant pink, but it's kind of got the idea. Next up, I'm going to go in with a very dark brown colour. And then this is the colour that I do my eyeliner in. So I don't actually use eyeliner. I use... I'm going to go a little bit more saturated with this. I don't actually use eyeliner. I do this with eyeshadow. I have like a very thin eyeshadow brush and I go in with eyeshadow to do this just because it blends really well. I don't personally like a harsh line on my eyes. So again, I go up and out at the corner here. That is actually too saturated. Let me just reduce that again and then reduce that opaqueness. There you go. So again, I kind of like have just a line at the edge of my eye there to create that kind of tick at the edge. And then I go in, I go back over and in, and I line the top of where my lashes would be with this. Like this. It's not, I feel like I really need to kind of work on this. I feel like with enough time and enough patience, I could really kind of skill up here and do some really cool custom makeup techniques. And again, I used to make CC, so this is basically what CC artists are doing, except for they're doing it on a flat 3D image. So if you actually have an advantage that you can see what this looks like in game on the sim with the lighting that's in game, because if you were a CC maker, you would really be working with a very flat image here. So yeah, just to kind of let you know, what I'm going to do now is go in with the eraser. And then I'm just going to really clean up these edges here. So I'm going to go in like this. Just to let you know as well, you can use, if you are a graphic designer and you're used to working with like a pen, you know, like a graphic design tablet and a pen to do this sort of thing, it does work. I had my, well, I don't know if it works with the tattoos, but I assume it does. I had my eldest practice with the werewolves options and it did work for that. So I assume it's going to work for tattoos as well. So yeah, really, really cool. So that is kind of how I do my makeup on my eyes in real life. So the only thing left to do now is to finish the lips. Now I go for kind of a very kind of pinky color like this. This is probably perfect actually. And then I'm just going to go in and basically at the side of my lips I underline, and at the middle of my lips I overline. So I'm going to go in right on the line here, right from the corner of my lips, and bring it down and follow that line there. And then I'm going to go here and do it here. Now, what I'm really excited for with this is that I can actually do custom lip designs in the game, because I always find that the lipsticks in game, they kind of really, really stick to the curve of the lip. And when I get to my top lip, I'll show you what I do in real life. And it's actually very, very different from anything that we have in the game currently. So yeah, I go ever so slightly below my bottom lip, and that just gives the impression that I have a slightly fuller lip than I actually have in real life. That is probably way too much. I've gone a bit overboard there, but remember as well, we can go back in and we can blend and erase as well. Okay, so at the sides, what I do is I kind of create more of a turned up lip. So I go in underneath the edge of my lip line and I go up and out. So it actually gives the impression of me having a bit more of a smile to my lips than I actually do, because again, my mouth kind of turns down at the corners. So I'm going to go underline if I can, underline, and then flick up and out. So think of like the shape of a slide. You know how a slide curves in and then it kind of curves out at the end? That's what I'm trying to do there with my lips. And then when I get to the top, I actually go, instead of following the curve of my line like this, I actually go straight across. So I learned this from a model who works in Asia called Taylor R. And she has this really cute, like, it's kind of like Russian doll effect lips, where it goes straight across at the top and kind of looks really pouty. And then, yeah, it kind of like slopes down at the edges. But that is basically how I do my lips in real life. And you're kind of taking away the cupid's bow. You're kind of going straight across there rather than following the curve of the lip. And then I'm going to kind of make it look a bit more rounded here. That is exactly how I do my lips in real life. And then going down and out here. So again, I'm going in at the edges. So you're not having that kind of Bratz doll look where you overline all your lips, you know, like the Kim Kardashian look where you're overlining, your lips look really big and round the whole way. You've kind of almost got more of like a Russian doll kind of little girly look, I guess, which is how I like to do my lips. And then I'm going to go a lot lighter, a lot less saturated, and I'm going to make my brush size bigger, and then I'm going to go in and fill in the inside of my lips. And that is pretty much how I do my lips in real life. However, I would say that I also go in with a little bit of gloss, which I don't know if I can actually do in the game. But yeah, that is looking pretty similar to how I do my lips, if you were wondering. I'm gonna go back over the edges because I see that's kind of removed some of the liner that I've just done. So again, I'm gonna go in with the previous color that we had, which I think I can see a little tiny bit of there. Let's make it a little bit darker. Actually, I want to keep the saturation there. Yeah, and then I'm gonna kind of go in and I'm gonna keep fine-tuning this with this kind of lip liner effect. So again, going in with the darker colour at the edges like this. And again, I've got very thin lips, and this really gives the effect of having like thicker lips. Just more shape to them. And again, I like the idea of them being a little bit more smiley because I turn them up at the edges, rather than being very, very pouty like they are in real life. I have I wouldn't say it's perfect. It's definitely not perfect. I could definitely like spend more time doing this. But it is really interesting to see that I can take the same techniques that I do with my own makeup in real life and kind of apply them in the game like this. I think it's really interesting that I can actually make my own custom makeup. So it's not perfect. It definitely needs a little bit more work. I'm not entirely happy with it, but I think if I kept playing around with it and I kept on practicing, I could do something very, very interesting here. And then again, if I go in really light now, I could even kind of have like a line here where it catches the light, which is emulating kind of like a gloss. And it's definitely not perfect, and it's very, very messy, but I think you can probably get the idea of kind of what I'm saying here. And again, it's not unheard of that girls kind of go in and kind of do things like this in real life, where you get that kind of like blush on your lip and you know, the permanent kind of like lip stains and things like this, or semi-permanent lip stains. So the idea of tattooing makeup onto your face is something that happens. And yeah, I think I've roughly kind of got something similar to what I do in real life. I think I haven't got the colours quite right, but if I played around with it a little bit longer and I really spent some time kind of making it more blended and neater, I think that is not too bad. So if I jump out of this now, one thing that you can do as well is that you can save the makeup. So if you click here, this is actually going to, hang on, it's not letting me do it, but there is an option. It might be because the gallery should be disabled in these builds. You can't actually use the gallery. But when you get this in your own game, you should be able to save these makeups. So if you want to get like tattoo makeup that you can then apply to other Sims faces, you can do. The only thing you need to be aware of is because it's tattooed on, which is kind of the point of it, which is why it's so popular. You know, it is going to be there for like sleepwear and things like that. So this is also with some of the in-game makeup on. So if I just go ahead and remove that, you can see that is the tattooed on makeup, which honestly is not great. I think the makeup in the game is slightly better, but I like actually the combination as well, like being able to mix and match and have both. So what do you think? Are you going to be tattooing makeup onto your Sims, or is that something that you think you're going to skip? She definitely looks like she's kind of a bit frostbitten around her mouth there. Let me know what you think. Again, I do think I need a lot of practice with it. It's not something I found easy to do. I don't have very good art skills, but I think it's an interesting concept. Let me know what you think, and I'm really excited about this. I think I'm definitely going to keep practicing, and I'm going to be doing it on my own Sims because I've always loved the things that let you kind of like customize the lipstick anyway. Yeah, so let me know what you think. Is this something that you think you can see yourself doing with your own Sims? One thing that I think it's going to be really interesting for is for Sims who have a darker skin tone, because sometimes with a darker skin tone, not all the lipsticks and the eyeliners and things look quite right. Sometimes they're a bit too saturated. Sometimes they don't follow the lip line too well. And so I think it's going to be really interesting to be able to make very, very beautiful Sims without using custom content, because you're just doing basically in-game custom content with the tattoo system. I think it's really, really cool. So yeah, very impressed with this feature. I think I'm going to keep playing around with it and kind of getting a little bit less messy. You can see how kind of that definitely needs some more blending there. But like, yeah, go forth, tattoo makeup onto your Sims faces. I think this is a really, really exciting feature that I think we're going to be able to do quite a lot with. Even things like, you know, being able to put like, you know, dimples or scars or, you know, frown lines, and be able to like do what we want to do. So for example, I've also got, like moles, and now I can go in. Again, let me just go back into the tattoo system. Hold on, guys. So let me add another layer, and then I can go in, and then I can actually just go in and paint my own moles on. So for example, I've got a mole on my cheek that's kind of a very, very, it's like a very light color, and it's kind of right next to my nose about here. And now I can just go in and kind of like do that without it being, sorry, my phone's beeping in the background. It's like that. But now I can just go in and kind of like paint my own mole on without it being like feeling like it's too dark, or, you know, and I've also got some on my cheek here as well. So I could like go in and like pop a couple of moles in there. And so I can really kind of like make myself in the game using the tattoo system. It's not just for tattoos. You can use it for all different things, and I think that's really cool. Another thing you could do as well is like you could come in and kind of like, I've got the wrong color for this I think, but you could even come in and kind of like draw on your own like baby hairs and things like that. I'm not doing justice, that looks terrible, but again, if with enough time and practice and patience, I think we're going to be able to get some really, really interesting kind of ideas, and I think people are going to be able to think out of the box and do some really interesting things. Like, look, I can even like give her a little custom earring if I wanted to. Like, look, custom earrings. I just think it's really, really cool idea. Again, I've got like moles here. I just think that there's so many possibilities with this that I'm very, very excited to continue to try out. So yeah, that's the review of the tattoo system, tattooing makeup onto Sims faces. I'm going to go. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I will see you again soon. Oh, if you are also buying The Sims 4 Hobbies and Businesses, please consider using my creator code Cinderellimouse, because it helps out the channel. EA throw a bit of money my way, and I love that. Take care. Have a good week, friends. I will see you again soon. Bye.